Are you all fired up?
Ready to go.
Ready? All fired up?
Ready to go.
Thank you very much, guys. So my job is to fire you up. And I'm not sure I'm going to be able to do this after lunch. What's that? Well, I'm going to introduce you to the idea of creativity. Okay, guys, my job is to kind of try and set the tone here a little bit. So I'll start off by saying we know what our job is. We know our job is to welcome people and encourage our community to make space for them. We want people to come in and be active, productive, connected citizens who actually pay taxes early. We know our job is to build a better, stronger Canada, one person at a time. But we got a bunch of challenges. I mean, we live in a everything is speeding up, and it seems to be going faster and faster and faster and faster every day. I mean, as a human race, we are now preparing our students for jobs that do not yet exist, to use technology that has not yet been invented in order to solve problems that we don't even know exist yet. In 2007, there were 2.7 billion Google searches every month. Today, there are 4.6 billion Google searches every day, or something like 60,000 every second. So we are traveling at warp speed. So too, in fact, recently has our immigration program in terms of the rules. Some years ago, our then federal minister, Jason Kenney, told us he was going to reform the immigration machine, that when he was done, newcomers would be predominantly young, well-educated, highly skilled, fluent in English or French. They would be admitted faster, and they would have a job before arriving or very soon thereafter. And as predicted, we've seen significant changes to every part of our immigration ecosystem, including changes to the economic class, the family class, the compassionate class, even the minister's authority. We're also seeing a trimming of CIC's budget by some 30%, and we can expect that we may even see more future cuts. We've seen the decline of Ontario's manufacturing sector. We've seen the westward shift of economic activity in our country. We've seen the demand for immigrants shift that way. We've seen, Ontario go from receiving almost 55% of our immigrants down to close to 40%. We've seen that more newcomers are moving to metro-adjacent communities, or as well as to smaller towns. We've seen a renewed federal commitment to Francophone immigration and minority Francophone communities outside Quebec, and we've seen the Ontario government's commitment to a 5% Francophone immigration. We've seen new stakeholders in our business, employers, educational institutions, municipalities, and they're involved in selection. We've seen immigrant and refugee serving agencies. We've seen evolution in our actors. We've seen a growing size. We've seen that we've lost some smaller ethno-specific agencies, and we've seen that new technologies and new technology platforms are actually transforming how we are able to produce information, how we disseminate information. In a sense, place doesn't matter as much anymore. So we are in a brand new world. We can see where citizenship immigration used to invest. If you think of the immigration paradigm as starting in Beijing with somebody thinking they want to come to Canada and ending in Calgary when they think they own the place. When we see immigration, citizen immigration has been investing kind of in the middle 3 years, somewhere here. Not even the middle, but somewhere right here. But we can see where, as taxpayers, we have to ask, and citizenship immigration is asking, maybe that's not the smartest place to put the money. Maybe some of it should go in Beijing. We just had a CFP. We can see where, a better prepared immigrant makes better decisions, and we don't sort of give people disappointment when they come here quite so much. So we can see there's all kinds of changes going on in our sector. And we're moving towards a much more demand-driven system with a very sharp focus on economic outcomes. So substantive change, folks, it's in the air. It's in the air that we're breathing. So business continuity for us is not an option. Our environment is changing so rapidly, our immigration system has undergone so drastic change that we know this is just going to keep going and keep going and keep going. Give you one stat. In 2012, about 79,000 people transitioned from temporary status in Canada to permanent status. You remember it wasn't so long ago you couldn't even apply for permanent status in Canada. 79,000. Okay? Some people would say we're in a crisis. To which I would say yes. But you should never waste a good crisis. You should never waste a good crisis. Because you see, every threat is actually an opportunity in disguise. There's the yin and the yang. It's in times of crisis, actually, when people are most amenable to change. This is when things are going perfectly smooth, nobody wants to change. But when things are shaken up, this is when actually people are willing to even look at change. And after all, we are in the business of change. We are in the business of transformation. I think we're actually very well positioned to deal with these changes, guys. We have a common interest in making our settlement sector more effective, more productive, better equipped to do the things that need doing. We share common values. Our work is grounded in equity and in social justice. Settlement sector didn't really exist 40 years ago. We were little groups meeting in church basements. And you know what? Over time, at that time when we were meeting in church basements, we didn't worry about where the money was coming from. We didn't worry about all the things that we now worry about when we think we're that much more professional. The thing is, though, I would say to you that almost all the practices that we see now in settlement work have actually, 1 minute? Okay. Let's just make a quick segue. First, I think we have to accept that change is inevitable. Don't fight it. We have to get in front of the change and actually seek to drive or influence it. And we need to remember that the only thing to fear, really, is fear itself. We actually have some very unique skills that no one else has. Our proven capacities for bridge building, our proven capacities for taking disparate programs from all kinds of governments and others and putting them together in the service of that individual who's in front of us. We have intimate understanding of all of the various silos, the complex web of silos that make up our society. We know how to show other people how to navigate these. We are a very valuable partner with government in the business of immigrant integration. Government actually spent a lot of money building the sector up over the past 35 years. So this is a very strong base on which to build. And in spite of all this noise of change, there are all kinds of opportunities that are embedded within all these changes. For example, we can provide what I call concierge services to employers, and which they would be willing to pay for. One-stop shop for employers wishing to hire immigrants, temporary foreign workers, or international students. We can provide same kinds of services to overseas prospective immigrants, international students, and educational institutions. We can sell services directly to temporary foreign workers or to institutions that require those services. There are a myriad of opportunities that are embedded in this new system. We're going to have in January the express entry system. There is absolutely no reason for us to not embed ourselves in the middle of that system. So, I think we need to free ourselves from the idea that government is the only potential buyer of our products. Kind of a good starting point for us. Not that we're going to give up on government, because government actually has given us a formidable base from which to work. What do we need to do to succeed? I think, first of all, I want us to think of it this way. We need to do well if we want to do good. You can't do good if you're not doing well. Okay? So you just need to put that in your head and get it there. There's been some very interesting studies done in the United States, where researchers have looked at successful high-impact organizations who have faced turmoil and who have faced hard times and succeeded in spite of that. And they've asked the question, why? What are some of the things that these organizations do? Well, okay, I'm going to give you a list, and then I'll stop. A few characteristics, about 7. 1, they serve and they advocate. So you deliver service to the person who is in front of you, but you also understand that, telling this guy to wear red shoes on Tuesday is not enough. You really have to focus on the context within which this person is also operating. You need to achieve leverage by enlisting other players. And really, what I like to call that, and I leave this with you, is what I call audacious idealism grounded in real pragmatism. Think about it. The second big thing that all these high-impact organizations do is they make markets work. Okay. They tap into the power of self-interest. They get it that pure altruism is good, but not everybody buys into that. We do live in a world here where we're unique and unusual in that we want to serve pure altruism. There's lots of people out there who don't. So we need to figure out what their self-interest is, and we need to tap into that. Business is not our enemy. We will not change the world if we don't change them. Okay? And just to stay with business for a little bit here, there's about 3 big ways you can collaborate with business. You sell them services, you work with them to change your corporate practice to make them more socially responsible, or you partner with them to access more resources from them. All of which, though, is attenuated by what are they getting out of it. Okay? So the third big thing that all of these high-impact organizations do is they inspire other people to promote for them. So they all spend a lot of time focusing on building champions or evangelists, whatever. We need to spend time working to help people understand what we do. We need to give our best supporters experiences that convert their like for what we do into kind of real heartfelt commitment, and they will become our best promoters. A fourth big strategy that all these high-impact organizations do is they nurture nonprofit networks. So they work through collaboration, not competition. All these leaders spend remarkable time sharing their wealth, their experience, their talent, their power with other not-for-profits. Not because they're saints, but because ultimately it is in their best interest to do so. So if you got good stuff, share it, folks. It's going to actually work for us. The fifth big thing these organizations all do is they master the art of adaptation. They are very agile. They modify their taxes as needed to increase their success. They respond to changing circumstances with one innovation after another. They combine this creativity with having highly disciplined internal systems for evaluating, executing, and adapting ideas over time. The sixth big thing they do is they share leadership. And you really got to get this one. Because we all need to share leadership in order to be stronger forces for good. All these organizations distribute leadership within their organization. They empower lots of others to lead. The final thing that they do is they have all become experts in the online environment. So I'm going to leave that with you. No matter how you add it up, folks, no matter what kind of crisis anybody else thinks it is, we are still, as a country, going to land 250,000 people or more, and my guess is that it's going to be more, each year for the foreseeable future. And we all need to figure out how we're going to get the best from each other. We have only just begun to mine the potential of this business, folks, and there are many, many, many options. Do not start this review by thinking anything is impossible, because it's all possible. As Barack Obama said, yes, we can. I'm done.